The floor is all yours.
Great. Well, it's nice to see all of you virtually, and thanks for joining. Um, First of all, a few of you didn't hear, grab a piece of paper and pen to have on hand. I'd like this to be interactive, even if it's throwing things into the chat. So, just a little bit of my background. I'm an obstetrician gynecologist, and I have started a maternity wellness center with my partner, Monique Rainford. It's a model of care that is all about wellness, because that is what is most critical, I believe. Really looking at all components of wellness that go into play into our health, and getting like the best outcomes. So our model is we actually use groups to take care of our women when they're pregnant and then after they deliver. So all their care is with other women in community led by a midwife or doctor. Just a little bit of background. It's called Enrich Health. So let's make sure we get our next slide up if I can figure that out. Okay. So what I'm going to do throughout this talk is the first thing is we're going to define wellness kind of together, even if it's in the chat. Then we're going to talk about what are the components of wellness, like what are your kind of your pillars of health. And then the last piece, most important, is how do we nurture health and wellness? Um, Before we start, because I think this is probably the biggest, it will be my focus, and one of my favorite pieces of wellness is the piece of kind of stress reduction, mindfulness, meditation, how to relax, basically. So I want to just do a 4 breath exercise with everybody. So I want everybody, whether you're seated or if you happen to be lying down while listening, that's totally fine, to sit in your seat with your back up straight or lie on your back, feet on the ground. And you can shut your eyes or you can just let your gaze kind of gently look down. And then I want you to just, feel the seat underneath you and feel your feet, connecting to the earth. I want you to take a slow breath in through your nose and then breathe out through your nose or mouth longer than your in breath. Just feel yourself relaxing and kind of sinking into your seat. Take another breath in and then let it out through your mouth or nose. Just notice your arms relaxing, your legs relaxing, and feeling rooted. Take another breath in through your nose, let that belly expand, and then let it out again. And then one more. And let that out breath be longer than your in breath until your belly is fully emptied. And you can come back to my presentation. And really doing this, I think, is something you can do throughout the day, but it helps get us kind of centered in here and in this moment. So the first question I want to ask, and you can write down your answer, I'll give you like 20 seconds. But I want you to think about what you live for, like what gives you purpose in your life. And just take a few seconds to jot down some stuff, and you're welcome to share in the chat as well. And this can be anything. This can be family, kids, a new day, your work, but just what you live for. And the other piece to that, as you're writing, is when you think about going in to see your doctor, your midwife, nurse practitioner, What is it that you want your health for? Which is very much tied, I believe, to what we live for, what gives us purpose. Give you another few seconds, then we'll move on. And you can keep thinking about this. Um,
We do have some answers in the chat.
oh, can you read those?
Uh,
Rita, do you guys mind if we read them? Are you guys good with sharing? I mean, you shared it in the chat, so
yeah, a lot of them just family, kids, mostly family, kids, fiance.
so
Thank you Lily, for sharing. Okay, go ahead. You can proceed.
people and connections. Um, so when we think about health and when we think about, what we want our health for, well, what does it look like to be healthy? Again, throw it out in the chat. Like, when I feel healthy, I just feel balanced. Like I feel rested, I feel relaxed. Like, what does healthy look like to you? And it could be really different. It could be how your body looks. It could be anything. But I think it helps to think about that. If you want to throw it in the chat or say it out loud. Are there some in there, Rita? Oh, you're muted.
Full, free from sickness, being mentally, physically, and spiritually stable.
I like that. So now when we think about, okay, this is how do we get there? How do we feel energized? How do we feel stable or balanced? Like, what are the pieces that play a part in this? And again, this is about wellness, right? These are these pillars of health, um, that contribute to being able to feel, connected, grounded, solid. Again, you can throw those in the chat. Um, there's a lot of research out there now around what are the pieces that go into wellness, and into living a healthy life and living a long life. Um, some of you may have heard of the blue zones, but it was areas in the world where people lived the longest, and they looked at what was it that they were doing that contributed to them living a long time. So, it was food, it was connection, it was spirituality, it was how they moved. These are the pillars of wellness. Again, wellness may look different for everybody, right? It's an individual thing, but we can see there's much consensus around all these different pieces. So the first one, and again, I'm not diving deep into because there's so many components, but we're going to kind of touch upon them. And then I want to get into a little bit more around relaxation, stress reduction. Um, but really simple overview of good food. What is it we should be eating? My one simple recommendation when I have women I see, whether they're pregnant or after or even before, is because there are so many trends out there, there's so many recommendations. A real simple one is to eat real food. When we think about all of the options we have out there, much of it is what we call processed, meaning it's got a lot of pieces that aren't real. So simple things are looking at ingredients. You see something you can't read, it's typically a chemical or a preservative. Those are foods we want to stay away from. When we go into a grocery store, most of the kind of processed foods or the not real foods are in the middle. So if you just stay along the edge of the grocery store, you get your fruits, your vegetables, your meats, your dairy. Um, so it's simple, but can be a little bit complicated with everything what's put in front of us, and also what's accessible and what's cheap. Cheaper, right? That's affordable. Um, but when we consciously think about, okay, a simple thing like would my grandma be eating this? A lot of the processed foods they didn't even have around, can gear us, steer us more towards the real foods, the fruits, the vegetables, the meat, the dairy. Another big recommendation, and I talk about it all the time, is fiber. Majority of women don't get anywhere near enough fiber, and I see it all the time. not sure how many of you've had babies who experience constipation, couldn't go to the bathroom. The first thing is there's likely not enough fiber in the diet. So, you know, keeping in mind the number 25 to 35 grams. I'm a big label reader, so I look how much fiber is in stuff. I look how much protein, and then I look at the ingredients. Your fibers in your fruits and vegetables, your whole grains, your nuts and your seeds. Um, and I said fruits and vegetables, but that's where you get your fiber. Protein is another big thing that a lot of us don't get enough of, and we really need that. Like that's, a big building block. It keeps our muscles strong. It keeps our body healthy. And that again is about 1 gram to kilograms. So, if somebody I roughly break in half the pounds, like kind of have it to get an idea of kilograms. And then that's how much, that amount is almost how much protein you need. And that's your meats, your dairy. There's fiber in a lot of, I mean, protein in a lot of foods, but it's mostly, it's high quantity in fish, meat, and then dairy. And then eating lots of fruits and vegetables. I say eat the rainbow. Just look for different colored foods and have them throughout the day. And then sticking with whole grains versus the processed grains. So like your brown rice versus white rice, your oats, your quinoa. And then just being conscious, again, looking at the ingredients. If sugar is the first ingredient, that means sugar is high in the food. Other ways to get sugar is through fruit, and you can make those into shakes. You can freeze the fruit and then it feels like a shake. And then dark chocolate's also a good little sugar boost. Sugar, just too much causes inflammation in our body, and then it leads to not feeling healthy. And then the last few things is eat mindfully, like just chew your food like 20 times. Like you'll realize, oh my God, I usually just take one bite and gulp it down. Um, and then, most of us will eat way beyond when we're full, because we eat because we're bored or we're tired or we're stressed or it just tastes really good. So to notice like, okay, I'm almost full, I'm going to stop eating. Just to throw in a little science, because I think this is super interesting. In medicine, we often talk about our gut being our second brain. Um, our gut has a whole like world in there of bacteria, and fungus, lots of little bugs in there that like to be happy. And when they're happy, we're happy. So we have to feed them well. Um, and that's through real foods. Serotonin, the hormone, like kind of our happy hormone, and this is just a little tidbit, majority of it is made in our gut. So when our gut is healthy, we can make good amounts of the serotonin. And as Hippocrates, kind of the father of medicine, said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So the other big component of wellness is movement, like any type of movement. It can just be moving around your house versus sitting down, noticing that I've been sitting too long and getting up. Like I see some people have the watches that alarm them to get up if they've been sitting too long. Um, taking walks, doing some yoga, doing stretches, just moving, like gardening, like being outside, like movement is really important. They talk about sitting for long periods of time is like smoking, packs of cigarettes a day. This is just so you can see, and I'll share the slides later, when doctors think about, oh, what should we recommend and what's the healthiest? This is the amount of time. It would be like 30 minutes of moderate activity 5 days a week. If you do really vigorous activity like running or a sport like basketball or soccer, then it would just be 75 minutes for the whole week. So like I said, simple things like you take a 5-minute walk. If you're feeling low energy, do jumping jacks in your room, which can be hard if you struggle at all with you're losing urine. It's a good, quick, easy exercise. Stretching, sometimes they say just pull up a YouTube video and do some stretches. Or if you have the music on, dance in your kitchen. That is one of the best forms of exercise, and it's actually also it relieves stress. It's a way to reduce stress. So another big pillar of health is sleep. I actually think this is it goes under the radar, and it's actually super critical to get good sleep. And how do we talk about that as if you're a mom or pregnant when sleep can be so disrupted. Um, so these are just tips. They're very challenging to, I think, put into place. But sometimes we don't realize, oh, I'm not getting into bed early enough and I'm not getting the sleep I need. Most people do need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Um, we call, I'm going to go over some sleep hygiene, but this is part of it. But the very first approach we take when somebody's struggling with sleep is we talk about how can we clean up your sleep? Like, how can we help you with your sleep? These are simple things like getting into bed around the same time, very challenging with kids, and then up the same time. Turn off devices, like don't use computer screens or phones. Some people actually can fall asleep to TV, but in general, we don't want devices for a couple hours before sleep. And if you can't do two, then at least one. You want your room to be dark and cool, which means you may need to get things for your windows that like blackout shades that keep it really dark, and then to create like a ritual before bed. And sometimes that can be with your child, getting them ready for bed can be your ritual, the start of your ritual too, whether it's having a cup of chamomile tea, reading a book, taking a bath, like sitting just quietly for a few minutes, reading to your kids. And then in the morning you want light, like because that gets you that's good for your circadian rhythm, like and all the various hormones that come into play. Some people will buy lights to have the bright light shining on them in the morning if you live in like Michigan or Chicago, like Reed and I do. So why is it good for you? Sleep is the time that our body like resets and re-energizes and repairs. Like it does all this work while we're sleeping. It's kind of a beautiful thing. Our blood pressure is lower, our immune system is revved up, meaning it's like recharged and ready to go to fight anything that may invade us. Um, it helps with metabolism and glucose control. So it's so important. Um, and I say that because I have struggled with sleep since my son was born 23 years ago. And I think part of that, I had somebody describe it as being hyper vigilant, like you're just got to be on all the time and you can't let go at night to go to sleep. So some other things that can help with sleep, if you've tried like sleep hygiene, um, I love lavender. You can get this lots of different places. And you can put it in a diffuser. It's just something it's in water and then it sends it out into the air. You can do a spray. Chamomile and peppermint are also very calming essential oils. Um, and they can help us if right before bed you have a diffuser going or you can spray it on your pillow. Magnesium is great to help with sleep. There's lots of different um, options for magnesium. Some can give you diarrhea, so you always kind of start slow build up. The glycinate won't give you diarrhea, but it can really help you sleep at night. Meditations are great. The one I like in particular is called the body scan meditation. You can find these all over YouTube. So sometimes if you're really struggling, I say put on a guided meditation. There is an app. It's called Insight Timer. There's tons of apps. My favorite is Insight Timer and it's free. And you can find any single meditation you could dream of on this app. You can also find guided imagery on Insight Timer and all the other apps. And then if we have time, I'm just gonna do a little guided imagery at the end. Sometimes you need to go to therapy to really help with, what is happening in your life and and possibly all the way back to your childhood, but to really help you process what may be keeping you up at night as well. So this final pillar, this is, like I said, the kind of the pillar that I'm going to focus on is the mental, spiritual, emotional well-being piece. In medicine, that's often been left out. And it's really, if you look at Western medicine, it was really about more acute care, like fixing a physical problem. And we are starting to see very slowly, we're kind of behind the times because if you look way back at ancient forms of medicine and healing, like in China and India, you didn't separate the body from the mind or the spirit. Um, so this we're seeing now as doctors and in medicine that this is really important to well-being. And a big part of this is connection to others and to ourself. And I think it's, when we read what gives us purpose, many of us talk about the people that are around us. Um, so again, I come back to purpose, right? And because this is really, it's all connected. And when we can kind of settle into ourselves and really look at what gives us meaning, that's important because that's connected to our health. And I've just listed some, but again, I think it's likely people and community and connection that are pretty central for most people. So when we want to cultivate like a state of emotional well-being, it's optimal to be in a state of relaxation, and calm, right? So how do we relax? How do we calm down and become still in kind of the middle of chaos in the world we're living in right now? It's really challenging. So in many ways, we have to be more intentional about it. I think years ago it was easier. I mean, even though the world has been in chaotic states throughout history, but I think with social media and technology, it's made it more complicated. But really, to me, this is central to optimal, like emotional, kind of spiritual, mental well-being. So there's lots of ways relaxation can look. Like it doesn't mean that you're laying on a bed, falling asleep or napping. It can mean you're exercising. Like people get lots of good hormones released, like endorphins when we exercise and we're in a more calmer state. It can be in prayer. It can be just breathing, which we've talked about because that just calms us down. It can be dance. Like people think, again, that's all, high energy, but it's actually very relaxing. You can feel like you got to work out, but it's actually very mentally and emotionally relaxing. A little bit more science thrown in. Um, you probably have maybe this has come across like your feeds and TikTok, but the vagus nerve or the parasympathetic nervous system. So when we talk about stress and we talk about anxiety and being kind of amped up, we have a lot of cortisol in our body. So even when I talked about being hyper vigilant, like that state of like that is too much cortisol. And when we have too much cortisol, it just kind of wreaks havoc and it doesn't let us calm down. It doesn't let us sleep. It kind of screws up our gut. Like so it increases our blood pressure, our heart rate. So the opposite of that is the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is in medicine, we call it the rest and digest system. And it's it's what like slows our heart rate down, slows our breathing down. It actually dilates vessels and brings blood flow to our gut so we can digest better. And it's healthy for our brain, it's healthy for our heart. Think of it as the relaxing system. And you're going to see I keep mentioning all the same things again, but a few that I've thrown in there. Some people will take cold showers that actually stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. Some people will gargle. That stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, or chant or hum. Singing is also great. If you love to sing, sing wherever you can because it relaxes you. And then they've seen too, fish oils are really great at, they're anti-inflammatory. They're part of kind of this uh, decreasing of like cortisol in your body. They're great for lots of stuff. And then probiotics, I think that's just more to help with the gut and balancing the gut, which has its own whole and nervous system. So the techniques that we're going to go through are things that I'm hoping you can even take away, like I'm going to breathe for, you know, 1 minute before going to bed. And you can do guided breathing meditations and then a guided imagery, hypnosis, journaling, qigong, and then I just threw in biofeedback. We're not going to spend much time on that, but that's biofeedback is really again being aware because it's connected of what's happening in our body to be able to then have a recognition of that to be able to calm down. Like, oh, my heart rate is going up, being aware of that, knowing what's happening in your body. It's a whole system and some lots of we have the occupational therapist here. I wonder if you have that at your center, but some centers offer it. So meditation, um, I think people are like, I can't meditate. I can't be quiet. Like, I can't clear my mind. That is not what meditation is. It's really, to me, meditation is about coming here right now. And how do we do that? Sometimes it's just simply breathing, where we focus on the breath, where we are breathing together and our mind is going to wander. When it wanders, we come back to our breath. And um, everybody can do it. I know people feel like they can't do it, but everybody can do it. And it's practice, it's like exercise. So think of meditation as simply being in this moment. And it can be that you're washing the dishes and really, just fully aware of all the senses and, the smells, the feel, how your body's feeling as you're washing the dishes. So when I think of it, so a form, it's called, some people call mindfulness is a form of meditation. But in a really simple way, when we're mindful, we're in this moment. And when we're in this moment, we're often at peace or calm. When we are in the past, we often have more feelings of sadness and it can lead to depression when we dwell, meaning we can go into the past and reminisce and feel nostalgic. When we go into the future, when we're thinking about all of this that happens into the future, that is anxiety, that is stress. So mindfulness is just like, I'm here right in this moment. Like, I'm not going to be out there worried about, an hour from now and, needing to do all of this stuff. I'm going to be right here, right now. So Thich Nhat Hanh was a Buddhist monk. Pretty well known here in the US. He's written lots of books, has lots of quotes. He said mindfulness is a kind of energy that we generate when we bring our mind back to our body. We get in touch with what is going on in this present moment with us and around us. We become aware of our breathing and we come home to our body, fully present for ourselves in whatever we are doing. So Qigong is, I've been drawn to Qigong, I think because it is truly an integration of movement, mindfulness, and like healing. Like it's an ancient Chinese exercise and a healing modality. There are Qigong practitioners that heal people of physical ailments through the exercise of Qigong. So are people up to do a 3-minute Qigong? If yes, if no, I can share a video when I email. Do people want to do a quick little Qigong for stress release? Rita?
We got a yes in there. We got some yeses.
Okay, let's do it. So this is very simple. It's literally 3 minutes. there's 1,000 YouTube videos on Qigong too, but this is for stress release, okay? And two of the movements are super common. You'll see them Qigong movements. I won't do the more active movements. So everybody needs to stand up, and hopefully you can see me. I'm actually going to time it so we don't go over our 3 minutes, okay?
Okay.
So the first thing, as I'm getting my timer, um, is, okay, that did not work. Hold on. Sorry, guys, hold on. Okay, here we go. Just gonna do 3 minutes. Okay, so you're gonna stand with your feet on the ground a little bit apart. You can't see my feet, but so just feel that ground underneath you and stand up straight and just let those arms relax and just kind of sink into the ground. And now you're going to start this movement where you're just going to twist your body and let your arms kind of just flop against your lower body. Like one arm in front, one in back. And just let those arms swing. And let all of that stress kind of move out of your body. And just let it hit against your body. And be breathing in and out. Don't forget to breathe. Just let go of thoughts that may be in your mind right now. Just concentrate on that rotating movement. And then slowly let it come still and let your arms hang again. And just feel how you feel. Feel tingling in your hands. Feel if your body feels a little bit more relaxed. Now this next one, you are literally going to kind of bounce and shake. So you're just going to kind of go up and down. You can kind of bounce up and down like your heel. You keep the toes on the ground. Just let that arm shake and your shoulders shake. And even let your head shake a little. And again, it's like you're just shaking away stress and worry. And at the same time, giving yourself a little energy boost. And you could do this for 5 minutes. This could be your form of exercise. So now just kind of let your body, we're kind of doing an abbreviated version, come to a standstill again. Those legs a little bit apart. You can have your knees bent a little. And just notice again, notice what your fingers feel like in your legs. Now this last one, take in a breath and raise your hands above you. And you're going to just lower them. You'll see my hands in a minute. Just like bringing that energy down as you breathe out. And breathe in again. Breathe out as you lower your arms. And the idea is to do this really slowly. There's energy all around us. Kind of taking that energy and bringing it down into our bodies and then out through our feet. And then out again. And we'll do one more. Just let your hands hang again. Take one last big breath. Okay, that's a little sampling of Qigong. And I will tell you, you will feel very relaxed doing that. Sometimes I'll do it for 5 minutes in the morning just to start my day. And it's healing. I mean, it's moving energy, in Qigong, in Chinese medicine and Indian medicine called Ayurvedic medicine. It's all about balance in our bodies connected to the outside world. It's about energy. So this is moving energy. So guided imagery is basically using our imagination to create this inner state in our imagination of with all senses. So feeling, smell, touch. And at the very end, we'll do a guided imagery that's really quite lovely if we have time. Um, that is also only 3 minutes. But it's cultivating this state in our mind that becomes so real that it impacts our body. So it's another great tool to relax. And that is one beauty of technology is we have access to so many of these. And I can send you the one that we'll do at the very end. Um, Another tool, and there are also many hypnosis uh, uh, scripts on YouTube and Insight Timer that you can follow. Um, this is what, so I think a lot of people have an idea of hypnosis from because there's so many hypnotists out there. Medical hypnosis, I mean, is the same, but we really look at it differently. Like you can't hypnotize somebody else. We hypnotize ourselves, and in a very simple way, it's like daydreaming. You don't lose consciousness. You don't, go to a place where you're going to reveal secrets or embarrass yourself. Like you are really going into kind of a daydreaming state. So it's like this inner absorption where you can kind of change the language, change what you tell yourself, because words are powerful. And so when you can do self-hypnosis, meaning you can guide yourself and you can learn that, but somebody guiding you is really helping you change the dialogue. Because when we say certain things, our body responds to it. So when we have negative views or doubts, our body's responding to that. So you're really changing kind of the dialogue. So it's super, I mean, it's incredible what people have done with hypnosis, also in healing. Um, we had a lecturer from in integrative fellowship doing right now who was a hypnotist he's a physician, he's an ER physician, he would do it in the ER. And it was powerful. Like he would get people out of abnormal heart rhythms through hypnosis. So it's very powerful. Um, so do the last few sides, then we'll do the last guided meditation or guided imagery. So, I say all of this and have all these recommendations. And the question is, oh, sorry, that was the duplicate slide, is how do we do it as moms and or caregivers of anybody or partners, friends, like to make space for ourselves, to make space to focus on our well-being and our health. And I know, I mean, I've struggled with it. My kids are older. My oldest is 23 and youngest is 18. And it's super challenging. We feel guilty because a lot of times because it's like if somebody else has a need, it's hard to not attend to it right away, especially a child. I think there's now more so than ever a sense of overwhelm, like everything that needs to be done, and then an underlying current of stress in this world. And where do I make space to take care of myself? Where do I make space to meditate? And that ties into time and support. Um, Especially if you're a single mom, especially, if you are caring for parents, children simultaneously, like, and it just doesn't seem to be any time. So I think it's the important thing is it's not all or nothing. It can be little things. It can be one little thing. It can be, taking 5 minutes to write down like in a journal, like with prompts, like what am I living for? Like what is my purpose, right? Like it can be taking a 5-minute walk. It can just be walking around the block or just sitting outside. Because sitting outside, being out in nature, whatever that may be, it could be a tree nearby, the sun shining on you, is nourishing you. Um, I think again, connecting to friends is and family is critical. So just taking that time to sit with somebody and talk. Or make a plan with a friend that you guys are going to walk once a week together, or maybe you are going to do some type of exercise. And then asking for help, I think that's the hardest thing. But if help is offered, to take it. Don't turn it away. And then, maybe making it just, I'm going to do 4 breaths before I go to bed. Or when I wake up, I'm going to do 4 breaths. So let me do this last, and then we'll still have a few minutes, Rita. Is that okay at the end? Okay. So I just discovered this and I absolutely loved it because my grandma um, was a very special person to me, and she lived a very long time, which was wonderful. Um, and her house was a place that I loved to be. Like I just loved just sitting in her home. And she lived in Michigan. She lived in Grand Rapids. So she didn't live near me. So it was holidays that I would get to see her. So this is a guided imagery, and this is from an author who talked about this, of walking through your grandma's home. So it doesn't need to be your grandma's home. It can be a home that was special to you, maybe outside of the home you grew up in, but like a home, it could be your childhood home too, that was special to you, that you have lots of good feelings around. And I'll send you this because you could do this at night too if you're having a hard time sleeping. So again, I want everybody to get comfortable in their seats. Make sure your feet are kind of planted on the ground. Um, I like shutting my eyes. I can't read if I shut my eyes, but you guys, I think it's good to shut your eyes, but if you're not comfortable, you can keep them open, maybe a downward gaze. So again, we're just going to take a few slow, deep breaths in and then out through your nose or mouth. And breathe in again. And breathe in calm. And then exhale tension. Now imagine yourself standing outside your grandma or a loved one's home. Notice the way the house looks from the outside. Perhaps it's the colors of the walls or the shape of the roof or the door, its color, how it looks. The stairs or the pathway leading up to that door. Just take a moment, knowing you're about to step into a place filled with love and warmth. As you open the door, see if you're greeted with a scent that's familiar to you. Maybe something being baked, or just the smell of the home. As you begin to walk into the house, notice the details around you. Maybe the floor or a creaky board, pictures on the wall, light coming through the curtains. Every corner holds a memory, a story, or a piece of your history. As you continue to move through the home, find yourself in the kitchen. Look around. Is there a pot simmering on the stove or something being baked? Feel the love of the food that once nourished you and its connection to the people who made it. Now move into the living space and see the couch or chairs, where they are. Maybe imagining the laughter that once filled that air, or the person sitting in the chair on the couch with you, listening to stories or enjoying each other's presence. Take a moment to notice how you feel in this space. Maybe a deep sense of comfort, a reminder you're cared for and loved. Now, imagine pausing in a spot that feels especially meaningful, maybe at the kitchen table or a chair in the corner of the house. Let yourself rest there for a few breaths, soaking in peace, love, and the energy of your loved one's home. So take a breath in slowly, breathing in comfort. And then breathe out. Notice the colors, the sounds, the feeling of being cared for in this place. You can rest and breathe deeply. As you breathe in, feel more calm. And as you breathe out, release any stress you may feel. As you're breathing, you're feeling more refreshed and centered. Breathe in one last time, peace. And then breathing out love. And then you can slowly kind of wiggle your toes and your feet. And then open your eyes. So thank you. Hopefully you can take some little nuggets away to bring into your daily life.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Thanks, Frida.
Went back to the childhood house that I grew up in. I was about 8, and we lived there for almost like 30 years. And just to kind of go back through there, it was all the different rooms and different memories and smells. And it was like, wow, just a sense of gratefulness, you know.
Yeah.
My mother
Yeah.
was a single parent, and
Yeah.
just, you know, just going back, like the childhood life that we had, it was definitely, it was a blessing.
Yeah. Oh, that gives me chills.
It was a
Yeah,
blessing.
this author, Patchett said, keep doing it. You'll notice more and more details. She said it's so powerful. I've done it and I'm like you just smile when you leave
You
it.
do. You do.
So
That was awesome.
yeah,
That
oh
was
good. I'll send it. If you can find it, but I'll send just the script I used.
Yeah,
So
that'd be great.
yeah.
If there's any questions, feel free to unmute your mic. You can definitely ask questions if you want to drop them in the chat. You could do that as well. Any questions? Any comments? Great, revisiting my childhood, and it helped me to make it said thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, that was good.
All of you. Good.
Good.
Um, yeah, thank you.
Feel free to unmute your mic before we bring it to a close. I'm gonna go ahead and where can I listen to this again? Actually, it's gonna be was recorded right now. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and then I will be sending the YouTube link to this seminar to you via email, along with the slides and all of Dr. Lee's information where you can contact if you have any questions or visit our website. You'll have all that contact information.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me. That email's a general email. I'm just going to put in mine is you can do this if you want to just reach me at Enrich Health. If you have any questions or want any resources, I'll give Rita the slides. But if there's anything you want to ask me in, I will respond.